Today, our EDC Zen knife spotlight is the Drop Bear, manufactured by Kizer Cutlery out of Guangzhou, China. We'll be looking at two variants of the Drop Bear. One of the basic aluminum 154 cm models, and a White Mountain Knives exclusive S35VN micarta scale model. Kizer is one of my favorite Chinese OEMs, and they have some of the best bang for your buck knives out there. Both the 154 cm and the White Mountain Knives exclusive S35VN models that we'll be looking at today cost $119 MSRP. That's not cheap by any stretch of the imagination, but as I said, Kizer has some great value, so let's look at the specs of what you're getting for that price. First, we'll look at the Kizer's basic gunmetal aluminum model, which you see here. The blade on this model is Kizer's standard 154 cm. They always do a pretty good job with their heat treat, I think, and ingot 154 cm is a very dependable mid-grade American steel. The blade finish is a satin with a more matte than reflective quality. Now, Kizer does a pretty standard job with their satin finish, I think. It's nothing special, but it definitely doesn't look bad. On the other hand, the White Mountain Knives exclusive model, the blade has been upgraded quite a bit to a more premium S35VN steel, which is a powder metallurgy steel with balanced properties, especially favoring edge retention and corrosion resistance. From here on out, I'll differentiate between the two knives by referring to their blade steel. So the aluminum model will be 154 cm, and the White Mountain Knives exclusive will be the S35VN. Another point of differentiation between the 154 cm and the S35VN model is with the blade finish. On the White Mountain Knives website, the S35VN model is listed as having a stone-washed finish, but it looks a lot different from any other stone-washed Kizer that I've held. The stone washing on the S35VN has a very reflective surface, and there are no large dents or marks from the stones, which you can sometimes see on the stone wash, and it looks very premium. Very high quality, unique finish to Kizer, and I'm not 100% sure, but I think it's the same bubble wash stone finish they featured on their Hyper knives recently. The only other difference on the blades between the 154 cm and the S35VN is the placement of the steel marking. Now, on the 154 cm model, it would be on the left side of the blade, above the Kizer mark. But on the S35VN model, it's on the opposite side, below the designer Azo's name. The blade length for both of the knives comes in just under 3 inches at 2.97. They feature a perfectly utilitarian drop point blade with a small swedge. The Drop Bear's blade seems to be designed to be as utilitarian as possible. It does nothing especially unique, but combined with the swedge, the tip really makes for some good piercing potential. It has a long flat base, which can be used for good draw cuts, and it has a medium-sized belly, which is also good for chopping or kind of cutting a little bit more thick material like paracord or canvas rope. The blade stock on the Drop Bear is thin enough to begin with, and combined with the 80% flat grind, it gets pretty thin behind the edge. Combined with the utilitarian blade shape, I think it really makes for a decent slicer, and it's really the shape and thickness of a blade that you could carry around in almost any situation. On top of that, literally, there's jimping that runs all the way from the handle to the swedge of the knife, which gives you a little bit more purchase with your thumb, depending on what kind of cutting you're doing. It's also a place where you could put your index finger if you were trying to do some utility cuts. So overall, I think it adds, again, to the utilitarianness of the blade. Next, we'll look at the handle shape and scales between both models. First up, the 154 cm model that I have is a gunmetal aluminum. Now they also make an aluminum model which has a black handle, and I'm assuming they're the same, but they're anodized and they have a slightly powdery texture, which does add grippiness, but some people don't like it. The S35VN model features a end grain type of frag pattern canvas micarta that I've never seen on any other Kizer knife before. I can only assume, because of the uniqueness of these micarta scales, that it was a collaboration between White Mountain Knives and Kizer. And personally, I like the unique texture. They feel a lot more fabric-y than most micarta. Aesthetically though, I think the frag pattern micarta scales are a mixed bag. I mean, I like the way they look basically, but the end grain texture, no matter what you do, will dry out. So I haven't held it for very long, just a couple months, but like most micarta will get a natural patina over time from the oils in your skin, but it seems to me like the end grain in this canvas will not patina. It will stay a kind of raw fabric color for the lifespan of the knife. That's kind of a shame, because I'm somebody who really likes natural patina both in the blade and the handle for my knives. I think it adds beauty and depth to the knife. I don't want it looking the same the day I bought it and a couple years after hard use. Underneath the scales on both knives are black stainless steel liners that have been generously milled out to reduce weight. Next, let's talk about the locking mechanism on this knife, which is Kizer's version of the axis lock, which they call the clutch lock. I won't get too much into the details of the clutch lock system. If you want to know more, please go to Kizer's website or watch one of many other videos on YouTube. But basically, you can adjust the D spring on both sides of the knife to 5 positions, and they include 2 different springs that have different tension strengths. So combining 2 different springs with 5 different positions, it gives you an adjustability of 10 different lock strengths. The action, as you can see from my videos, is also really good, and usually axis lock knives have pretty good action, but especially Kizers, which are using brass caged ball bearings and the axis lock, they open and close very smoothly, and you can feel a very tactile sensation both when you open the knife and when the bar lock slides into place. I really like playing with the drop bear and manipulating it in my hand. That's it for our EDC Zen today, and I hope to see you all next time. Farewell.